Hello and welcome to this edition of SFG Top Performance. Doing a feed and grain podcast today. With me is from the feed division is Scott Goetz and Kent Watson. And as usual, we'll start out with some grain information. We're starting at the start of August, so things are winding down a little bit crop-wise. The weather's been very good to some people, not so good to others. And that's not just in our area, but kind of nationwide, I think. So a lot of variability. And with that, I kind of wonder if the days of a stable commodity markets are a thing of the past. And it very well could be. It appears all segments of the financial world has become more volatile. And the causes are many. Whether it's faster information worldwide, it gives us a faster response time. In the view of the commodity trading, computer trading has really expanded how fast things can happen, especially in the overnight trade. There's no live outcry anymore in Chicago. It's all computer driven, and computers trade without emotions. But I looked something up, the Dow Jones, that kind of interests people my age because we've got money invested in 401ks and things like that. The Dow first hit 1,000 in 1972. It started in 1896, so it took, almost 80 years to get to that 1,000 mark. It hit 10,000 in 1999. That was quite an event. I can remember that. And then 9 years later, it hit 20,000. It broke 30,000 earlier this year, which that's only like three years later than the 20, and now we're in the 35,000 range. So that's dramatic. That's a huge thing, and that's essentially starting to draw money away from the commodity markets. We depend on speculators in the form of individuals and funds to help us set prices, and if they were to exit the market, that takes some of that volatility out, of course, but it also takes opportunity out, and that's what we're looking for is opportunity. The rally of the past almost year now has been demand driven, which those are the most stable kind typically, as long as the demand continues. And now we're at a point where China is being uncommitted, sort of. They continue to buy on breaks, so that they're going to stay in the market, but I don't know if we can depend on them to push us like they have in the last year. So August 11th, we got the next WASDE report from the USDA, and they typically don't mess with the acres on the August one, but they do have a tendency to adjust the yields once in a while. And so it's still up in the air whether we'll see much of an adjustment. The privates, on corn, we're seeing numbers from 175 to 183. Currently, the USDA is projecting a 179.6, and most think they'll stay in that range at least through August. On the bean side, they're at 50.1. Again, private forecasters have got a 2 or 3 bushel difference there, up and down both. But the government's not foolish. Well, maybe I'll watch how I say that, but they know August weather dictates the soybean yield, and we're not there yet. We're in the start of it, but a lot can happen the next 3 to 4 weeks. So the odds of them making a major change at this point, even though there's some areas like the Dakotas and Minnesota, even northern Iowa, that are looking pretty tough, it's doubtful they're going to do a lot of change. So I was at a grain conference this past week and talked to people from 3 or 4 states, and it's similar to here. One guy says we got the best crop we've ever had. The next guy, we're not so good. And I think we can see that in counties in this area, from one side to the other. There's a lot of difference in some of what's going on. So the week after the 11th, the Pro Farmer Tour will kick off, and that's become a big indicator to the industry. They've garnered a lot of respect in their numbers in the past 5-6 years, And so regardless of how the WADSI report comes out, there'll still be a influenced by the Pro Farmer Tour, and it'll be interesting to see what they find. They go to the same areas every year, so that gives them a little continuity. Weather can still be a factor in the bean market, of course. Corn, it's kind of run its course or getting close. It's going to be less of an issue. So on the corn side, it's going to come down to projected yield. And at some point there, October, November, we'll start to see some actual yield data and maybe some actual acre numbers. The FSA is still tabulating the reports. They took reports without penalty up to the 15th of July, and it takes them 6 to 8 weeks to get things kind of put together to where they've got a more solid idea of what was actually planted. Same way with the crop insurance people. So we'll look forward to that information down the road. So in ending, I'd say, this could easily be the year of a lot of records in yields and both to the good side and the bad side. I think, in this area we might see some record corn yields for ourselves, but I'm sure you can go to parts of northern Iowa and definitely the Dakotas where they might say we're going to have a record poor crop. And so there'll be a lot of variability that'll lead to a lot of volatility. So with that, we'll move over to the feed side. We'll start with Scott today and get some comments from him.
Well, Mark, I think we're officially in the dog days of summer now. We had a pretty good little stretch of warm weather last week. I hope everybody got through that. Their livestock and everything was good. County fairs were really warm last week, so made them kind of miserable. They are wrapping up though. The state fair is going to start next week. Seems like this summer's flown by. Last Saturday I had the pleasure of helping the Albia gang serve breakfast at the Monroe County Fair. We had quite a crew. Kelly, the leader, served ham and eggs and kept things flowing smoothly. Mark was the man in charge of drinks and PR. I think he knows everybody in Monroe County. Madison and Kent, they were stuck in the back cooking. I think they mastered cooking ham and eggs. If we could get them to do that once a week in the office, I think we'd have it made. I was in charge of donuts and rolls. It's awful hard to screw that up. So thank you to everybody involved in that. The weather wasn't the greatest. It was pretty wet and damp, and it was kind of cool after the 100-degree temperatures last week. We still served 240 people though, and I never did hear anyone complain about the cool temperatures. I walked through the barns afterwards, and I was impressed with the quality of livestock I saw. I also had the opportunity to visit some other fairs in the area, and I was equally impressed at them. I think that says a lot for the producers in this area. SFG had a pretty good showing. I heard that we fed the champion goat and the champion rate of gain steer at the Marion County Fair. We fed the champion pen of 3 chickens, a couple beef breed champions, and several class winners in all species at the Warner County Fair. But my favorite thing is that SFG fed 7 out of the top 8 in the rate of gain at the Warner County Fair. I love to see that. Sales were all overall very good. A big thanks to all the local businesses that support these kids, and a thanks to the local lockers for what they do. Some counties can't find buyers like that, and they're having to cancel their sales. It's too bad that has to happen. On the feed side of things, we're kind of in that calm before the rush. Guys are starting to get creep feeders out. I've had a couple guys talk to me about early weaning calves off of heifers. This is a good time to be thinking about getting that done if you're going to do it. Now is the time to start thinking and making a plan for winter. Making a plan now will free you up at harvest, which is coming sooner than we think. And that's all I got for you today, Mark.
Well, thanks, Scott. Appreciate the update on the county fairs. That's a highlight for rural Iowa every year. And it was good to kind of be back a little more enormously this year.
Yes, it was.
Due to COVID from last year. Kent, what do you got for us?
Well,
today?
I'm just sort of jump on what Scott was just talking about, how the summer's kind of flying by, and I was trying to think of a topic yesterday for today, and I came to the realization, within weeks we're going to be chopping silage, and silage, corn silage is a very important nutrient value forage for us. Unfortunately, sometimes I think we sort of take it for granted, and when we're putting it up, we go to all expense and time to grow the crop, and a lot of expense in harvesting it, but then we don't. We just do a few simple things to ensure that we're getting the maximum utilization out of it by just not doing a few things to make sure our storage is complete when we're done with it. So I just thought I might talk on a few little subjects today about maybe some things to consider when you're talking about chopping some silage. The single most important thing you can do, to ensure that you're getting good quality corn silage is timing, ensuring that you got the optimum moisture level to ensure that you're going to get best fermentation in the crop. When there's been several different methods used to determine when the best time to chop silage. There's some people that use so many days from tassel, where the milk line is on the kernel, but the only true way of knowing for sure is to go out and take a good representative sample and dry it down to know where the moisture level is in that forage. And that way you're going to ensure that you're getting the optimum level. So, like in the case, and then knowing where, if you're going to be putting it in a pile or in a bunker, that moisture level should be between 65 and 70%. If you're going to be putting it in a bag or an upright silo, that can be between 60 and 65%. But you can use those other methods to determine when would be a good time to maybe go out and do some sampling, but that is the only real way of knowing for sure. And that is the number one thing you can do to ensure that you get good quality silage. Another thing that you can maybe use, and is something I wanted to bring up, is we have a product called Bulletproof. It's a forage preservative. Basically, what they do is it helps the fermentation process by hopefully eliminating some of the oxygen. Oxygen is the biggest problem when it comes to storing any type of forages. When you have oxygen present, it promotes mold, bad bacteria, and yeast, and that turns into waste and quality issues. So preservative, basically, you put it on. It helps that, like I said, speed up that fermentation process, and it eliminates some of the oxygen. So it helps. It gives you a little bigger window maybe than when you can harvest, and also it basically, the way I put it is, it lets you keep more of what you grow. And if we're going to go to the time and expense to grow this silage, we want to make sure that we put out the best quality forage as we can. So with the expenses, the expense of feedstuffs today, when you got good quality corn silage, we're talking about a high energy, high digestible feed, and we want to make sure that we preserve it as much as possible. So just a few things we can do to help us with that.
Okay, well, thanks, Kent. Well, that wraps up today's edition. A quick commercial for SFG. We're like a lot of companies. We're looking for good help to come to work for us. We offer a very good job here in several different aspects, from shop personnel to drivers to office personnel. A good benefit package. So if you know someone that is looking for a job, wants to stay in the ag business in the rural area, local area, please direct them our way. I'll remind you also to check in on our website, sfgiowa.com, and catch up on the latest markets and information there. Thank you.